Hi, I'm Alex. Foreign aid spending has been forecast to take over the defence spending within 15 years. Do you think this is worrying, considering the current threats in Ukraine and Iran?
Yeah. I think that as long as we keep up Trident, then we are okay. And I kind of feel that the spending on the defence that has gone down sort of reflects, I suppose, the current government's line of thinking. I don't think we should put any more into defence personally, and I think that I prefer to see the money spent on foreign aid. I think that helping countries instead of fighting them is probably the way forward. But I suppose I differ slightly with the Green Party, the fact that no one would have ever thought this Ukraine thing would have happened 20 years ago, and if we decided to get rid of our sort of nuclear weapons then, we'd be in a position now where the Ukraine is suddenly a massive threat and we haven't got anything. And I just think that we can't make decisions that are 30 years down the line. So I suppose I'm quite pro-Trident and pro-nuclear weapons, because I think that you can't make those sort of really long decisions that could be fatal for our defence. But on your question, I think we should keep spending on foreign aid and not panic too much about not having so much in the defence budget.
Thank you. Just very briefly, because I know I've just said a fair bit. I'm really proud that it was a Liberal Democrat secretary. No, he's not a former Secretary of State for Scotland, but it's after he became a backbencher again, Michael Moore, who pushed a bill through Parliament to enshrine into law 0.7% of our GDP being spent on international aid. I think it says something about us as a country and about our morals and about the fact that we are outward looking and internationalist. And unlike our colleague here who's now left his party, who apparently like to draw up the drawbridges, I think being internationalist and open and outward looking and tolerant and being prepared to help folks who are in need abroad is absolutely vital. Unlike my Labour friend here, I'm absolutely opposed to the renewal of Trident. I think it's outdated, and that we need to be leading in the world in terms of getting rid of nuclear weapons. And I hope I agree with my Green friend here on that.
I've just written down the word MAD, mutually assured destruction. It's the acronym for nuclear weapon storage. But I think that's maybe going off the point. I think you raised an important point, actually, because the threats that this country now face are unseen, and they are numerous. And we can sit in this room and feel relatively safe, but I'm quite certain that those who work in the security services know how unsafe we actually are. And I think it's a really tight balance to make, because I would agree with colleagues that foreign aid is a very important part of this nation's influence of sustainable development across the world, not just throwing money at things. There's a lot to be said for, in both these questions, how things are organised, how things are managed. It's a bit like the NHS. You can throw staff at something, but how do you manage them? Could you have less staff with better management? I'm saying that because I've spoken to a nurse about that, and she's saying exactly that. But I would, it's a tough call, this one. I would err on the side of the defence budget at this current time.
I am, and the Greens, we are absolutely against the Trident. I guess for me personally, and I know this is very much a Green view for a lot of the Green members and Green candidates and so on and so forth, we do think that we need to give international aid. I mean, I guess it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier on about it's a measure of the greatness of our societies. If you can actually afford to give some money to another country to help them in terms of development, in whatever way it be, then that's always a good thing. But I think going to specifically Trident, I mean, okay, yeah, we can spend 100 billion, but let's be honest, we could probably spend that on things like youth services, homelessness, and all these different things that actually we need to solve in our society. Because let's be brutally honest, if we don't spend that money on the people in this country, we're not going to really have a country to defend. And ultimately you can press the red button, but as they say, as Paul said, it's mutually assured destruction. So they're going to press it, we're going to press it, and you've got two non-functional societies. And at that point, what was the point of doing it all in the first place?
Any more comments on foreign aid versus defence budget?
Yeah, question.
Yes.
Yeah, foreign aid. How come we spend a lot of money in foreign aid, especially to India, when they spend billions on investing on a space race? That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Well, I mean, I think you're absolutely right in terms of we need to be very careful about where we do spend our foreign aid. I think it needs to be spent on those that need it most, and I entirely agree with you. If you're getting a situation where countries clearly have money to spend and are not spending it looking after their own people, then we have to, carefully and in a structured way, but maybe we do have to withdraw funds from those countries and ensure that it's absolutely being spent where it's needed most.
I'm not government and I've never been in government, so I'm not going to sit there and defend what they do and don't give to each country and what the countries then spend it on. I do think, and I do agree that we need to hold these countries more accountable. So if we, for example, give India £1 billion or we give Zimbabwe £1 billion, there should be certain stringent rules to say you can use it for this, you can't use it for that, and if you use it for something we haven't allowed you to do it for, you will not get any money from now.
Just said to Chair, I've already said what I was going to say, but I just reiterate that the foreign aid given should be a sustainable project. Space race is sustainable. So we should give it.
It's exactly what the UNT has said.